What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we've got just a couple updates to talk about in Modern Warfare 2 and the Call of Duty franchise in general today. And the first thing is good news, the UAV bug has finally been fixed. This is a bug that was introduced at the beginning of Season 4, so last week, and it was just fixed yesterday. And for those that weren't aware, with this bug, the standard UAV was working almost like an advanced UAV, where it would show all players on the minimap in real time, rather than just sweeping them and showing their current location whenever that sweep goes past them. And this was having a really big impact on games because first off, snowballing was brutal with this. The first team to get a UAV in the air would have a massive advantage over the other team, since they could see literally everybody on the map in real time, especially because we don't get our ghost perk at the beginning of matches, and that would just lead to more and more UAVs for that team and less of a chance for the other team to be getting a UAV up. And then on top of that, this was leading to a whole lot more cheat accusations where people were constantly claiming that enemies had wall hacks because how could they know exactly where I was or exactly when I was about to come around that corner? Well, that was due to the fact that the standard UAV was just completely broken. Thankfully, there was a patch yesterday and this was fixed, but the crazy thing about this is this bug was never even acknowledged at any point by the developers. Normally, if an issue pops up, especially a big one that directly impacts the gameplay, that's something that they'll at least acknowledge fairly quickly, but in this case, there was never a mention of it. Even in the patch notes for yesterday's update, there was no mention that this bug got fixed. It's like they just wanted to pretend that it never happened, but whatever, I guess it's fine, it's fixed now. I just wish they would really get on top of those things sooner, because that was actively preventing me from wanting to play the game. And then the second bit of news that I wanted to share for you guys that they just announced today is they're going to be shutting down Warzone 1 servers on September 21st of this year. So that means you won't be able to play it at all after that date. And honestly, I'm not really all that surprised by this. I think the costs are probably fairly high to keep those servers running. Although at the same time, in saying that, you can still play Blackout at this point. You can still go back. The servers are still working for that. So I don't know if that's really the full reason behind it, or if it's more so they're just trying to make sure they're funneling all Warzone players into the current Warzone, which was called Warzone 2, but they've recently dropped the 2 from that name. I think that's more likely the reason they're trying to have a more unified player base. But I do think that's going to upset a lot of people, especially those people that like the movement in Warzone 1, because we still don't have anything close to that when it comes to Warzone 2's movement, and that just doesn't appeal to many of the people that stuck around for Warzone 1. Now, more importantly with this topic, a big thing to note here is if you just played Warzone 1, and let's just say you didn't buy any of the like Modern Warfare 2019 or Cold War or Vanguard games, any bundles that you may have purchased in Warzone 1 will be gone. You will have no way of accessing that. You won't be able to play the game, so you'll never be able to use those skins that you got. They literally just won't exist after September 21st. Unless you own that base game that particular skin is attached to, then you can still go in and play multiplayer and access those skins. But let's just say you didn't buy Vanguard, for instance, but there was a really cool skin that was tied to Vanguard that you could use in Warzone 1. Well, too bad. You'll never get to see that skin again unless you buy Vanguard. And of course, you're not going to get like a refund or anything for that. So this just serves as a great reminder that when you buy a bundle in Call of Duty, you aren't actually buying the bundle. You're buying a license to use that bundle, and that license can be taken away at any time, or they can take the servers down at any time. And therefore, with Call of Duty especially, these skins don't hold any value over time. With some games, cosmetics actually do hold some value over time, because you can still access and use those cosmetics in the current relevant version of the game many, many years after you paid for those cosmetics. And a great example of this is Fortnite, for instance. I dabbled with that a little bit when it first came out. I bought a couple bundles to support it because it was a free-to-play game, and I thought they were handling things really well and treating the community well. I can still go back today and play the current relevant version of Fortnite and use those bundles that I bought like 5 years ago. That's not the case with Call of Duty. Like, I guess you could go back and play an older Call of Duty game, and your skins will still be there, but it's no longer the current relevant Call of Duty. And in this case, like I said, if you didn't have the base version of the game attached to that skin and you just played Warzone as a free-to-play player, after September 21st, those skins are literally gone. They don't exist anymore. And that's pretty crazy, especially when you think the bundle prices that Call of Duty uses are very high for the industry. In many cases, you could buy an indie game for the price of just one cosmetic bundle for Call of Duty, or stack a few of those cosmetic bundles together and that's a whole Call of Duty game that you could buy, or another AAA title you could buy. And yet people are spending all this money on bundles that are only lasting for a year or a couple years maybe if you're a Warzone player, for instance. And to me, that's just crazy. Now, at the end of the day, it's your money, you spend it how you wish, and for some of you, I'm sure you got some value out of that, just being able to use that skin for the time that you did play in Warzone. Maybe that was worth it for the money you spent on the bundles. I just wanted to talk about this topic briefly here, just to remind a lot of you guys that maybe haven't really thought that through too much, that when you buy a bundle in Call of Duty, it holds no value long term. But with that, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Just a couple pieces of news that I feel were important to talk about, especially that UAV bug for Modern Warfare 2. That's something I'm really glad they finally got on top of, although a little bit annoyed with the lack of communication there. That was a very big bug that had a drastic impact on the gameplay, and while they did eventually get around to fixing it, it kind of blows my mind that they never even acknowledged its existence. But in either case, I just wanted to make sure you guys were updated on that, since no one else seems to be updating anybody on it. And this is where I'm curious to hear from you guys in those comments down below about either of these topics, whether that's the lack of communication regarding this UAV bug, or the fact that Warzone 1 is gone after September 21st, and any of the bundles attached to that for the free-to-play players out there will be completely gone forever. If you enjoyed this video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.